Hello, good evening, and welcome to GT7 Racing channel. We are here today to view, ladies and gentlemen, the final round of the Virtual Racers Club Radical Racing. It's round 6. We're at Tsukuba, and we are pumped for this championship. It has been a cracker. This is the final round, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. Our journey is coming to an end. It is both sad times and happy times because it's been such a buzz covering the VRC again that I have thoroughly enjoyed this season. Right then, they're in the Radicals. You must know them by now, the oversized go-karts. They are using sprint format with 3 races per event. And they are using the sports medium tyres and the sports soft tyres. The rule of the round is that one of those compounds, well, both of those compounds have to be used at least once over the 3 races. So, as we've seen, they're mostly using sports soft tyres and then one race with the sports medium tyres. Okay. Excuse me while I clear my throat. I am going to read you the table. Brace yourselves. Skyjacker is at the top, and he is on, and this is after any drop scores that have been taken into account. Skyjacker is on 184 points. Koi Carp is on 169 points, some 15 points behind him. But it looks like you could. No one's actually scored maximum points per round. We've not had someone win all 3 races, but I mean, Skyjacker's scored 47 points. That's his highest scoring round. So there are still plenty of points on the board. 15 points behind means nothing in this field. So Ensign Hewitt, Big Dan, is in third on 167 points. He's only 2 points behind the Koi. So second place is up for grabs, ladies and gentlemen. And Ensign Hewitt is applying. Bazza is in fourth on 160 points, only 7 points behind Ensign, with Pat in fifth on 136 points. But he is only 1 point ahead of the Harv, who is sixth on 135 points. So the Harv and Pat are going to get down and dirty in this round to claim that fifth place. Jamie Dodger, 7th on 130 points, still in that fight, only 5 points behind Harvey and 6 points behind the Pat. So everything is still on the table to play for. Digital Blasphemy is 8th on 89 points, but he has only taken part in 2 events, with Jokus in 9th on 72 points. Madmansky is in 10th on 62 points. Themajig 11th on 34 points. He's taken part in every event, ladies and gentlemen. That is just how bad he is at driving. And a couple of guys who haven't even bothered to show up. So why should I say their names? Well then, ladies and gentlemen, it's very tight coming into the final round. And I believe Pat has made us an update for every race. So it looks like I'm going to be reading stats out to you at the end of every race. Just an update of the scores. So, yes, prepare yourselves for that, ladies and gentlemen. Pat stat attack come the end of each race. So let us have a look at the grid for round 6, ladies and gents. And look, there's the camera moving. And see, a little hint. If you don't want to listen to all the rubbish at the beginning, just keep fast forwarding until you see the camera move. And then that means we're getting on with business. So on pole position, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a digital blast for me. He'll be starting on the medium tyres, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to have an absolute struggle if the cars behind him are on softs at this quirky little go-kart track. So Digi then in pole, and he's opted to use those medium sports tyres at the very beginning. In second place, ladies and gentlemen, it is Big Dan, and remember, Big Dan is hunting down the Koi of Carp in this round. He's only a couple of points adrift, and he could get himself up to second in the championship. So Biggeth of Dan, Ensign Hewitt, Drifting Dan, whatever you want to call him, he is eager, prepped, and ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Stood to attention. In third place is our championship leader, Skyjacker. Oh, Big Dan starting on soft tyres as well, so beware, Digi. Big Skyjacker on those medium tyres, ladies and gentlemen. He's qualified in third place, and I think he's pretty much polled it almost every round, so this will be unknown territory for him. He'll have to get past people. He has raced this season, I promise you. It's just... he has been a head and shoulders above the rest on his day. So that's Skyjacker. He's starting in third. He's getting the medium tyres out the way earlier. Fourth on the grid goes to Koi of Carp, ladies and gentlemen. He is starting on the soft tyre, and he will be eager to get on because he has a target, ladies and gentlemen. He has to finish ahead of Big Dan no matter what. So... Koi Carp knows the consequences, he knows the pressure, he knows what he has to do, and he is here for it, ladies and gentlemen. Fourth on the grid, starting on the soft tyres, he is going to be racy. Bless him. In fifth place, he's new to this season. It's Paul Power, ladies and gentlemen. The Paul Power has entered the ring. So this one, I mean, he's probably raced these guys before, but I have never come across our friend Paul Power. He's in fifth place. He's starting on the soft tyres, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Paul. I'm Thingamajig. It's pleased to make your acquaintance. I hope you're well. Right then. In sixth place, ladies and gentlemen, he is the man. It's Pat. Oh, no. Has that not loaded in? Is that just an original, a normal... Oh, I'll come back out and come back in. Don't worry, ladies and gents. Looks like his livery's not loaded in. And Pat has a rather nice livery. So he's starting on the soft tyres, ladies and gents. I usually check, before we do the grid walk. I didn't. Is that another one that's not loaded in as well? Yeah, because Harvey, we're going to quit out and come back in, ladies. We'll delete some cookies and gentlemen. So Harvey starting in seventh on the soft tyre. And that's taken the wind out of this one. Jammies is loaded up. Jammies a good lad. He's eighth on the soft tyre. So we'll quit out. We'll quit out and see if we can get Harvey and Pat's liveries to load in. What have they done to their liveries? I'm blaming them. Of course I'm blaming them. Okay then, ladies and gentlemen, that's the grid. And let me just do this. Da-da-da. Just talk amongst yourselves. Da-di-da. La 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 la. Where am I going now? Collection, sorry. Oh, so into my larling. Right then, let's have a look. Don't look at the results. We've only just seen the grid, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to ruin it for yourself. You know the drill. Oh, they better load up. I'm only doing it the once. If they don't load up this time... Oh, I was going to delete cookies, wasn't I? That usually helps. Let's have a quick look. So Paul Power, I think that is his own. Hey, Pat's back to how he should be, ladies and gentlemen. And so is the half. See how simple that was? See how simple that was? I could have done that before I started the stream. I didn't even make a coffee, you know what I mean? I was so intent on getting onto it and getting on with the business of getting on with the stream that I didn't even think to make a coffee or to check out the liveries. Anyway, without much further ado, let us get on with the business of round 6, ladies and gentlemen, for the Virtual Racers Club, the Radical Racing. Here we go. Digi leads them away. He's on the medium tyres, remember, so Big Dan is going to be eager. And there are a lot of corners to show off your soft tyres. And he's going already, is Big Dan, having a sniff, having a whiff, but the Digi is not releasing any aroma of overtaking there. And Skyjacker being swamped by the Koi, and Koi fancying a piece of the green monster. If he can find an inch, he will take a mile, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Power close up behind as well, and Pat staying in the vicinity. And now Sky still defending from the Koi on the faster tyre, and Sky doing what he can to keep him at bay. And up here, Big Dan's pulled up alongside. No, Digi is on the defensive on the apex, giving Big Dan no quarter, no inches. Is that rain I see? Is that that's a little trickle, ladies and gentlemen? A little trickle has happened. Tsukuba has wet itself, and now these guys have got double jeopardy as they deal with the grip releasing away and becoming slippier and slippier as they move along. And Digi under threat again. What have I done? Oh, Big Dan, that's why, because he just edged up to the lead. And Digi now down in second with those medium tyres, and Big Dan takes the lead. And I tell you what, Big Dan likes a slippery surface. He likes to work it when it's wet, if you know what I mean, ladies. Digi is in second. Koikart now up to third ahead of the Sky, and the medium tyres not looking so hot in the damp conditions. Paul is in fifth place, and he's hunting him down, a green monster at the moment. Pat is in sixth with the halves in seventh, and Jamie Dodger is looking intently on the half ice meister. But up front then, Big Dan is going for it, and it looks like the rain has stopped, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be one of those never quite wet enough for intermediates, or maybe there is no intermediates. I mean, these sports tyres have got some tread. They can drive in the rain to some certain extent. So Big Dan then seems to be dealing with it quite well at the moment, with Digi could be under. Oh, Paul's gone through. Paul's got a move done on Sky, and the medium tyres, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, are good for nothing, it seems. Sky limping around on his medium tyres, being swamped by the rest of the field. And Paul there making a beautiful move on Skyjacker. Big Dan still leads from Digi, and Koikarp in third. Koikarp heading fastly towards the Digmeister. He wants that place. Paul taking a strange line into the corner, onto the apex. Defensive, but he's defending thin air because Skyjacker is just not quite there. And Pat there is intently looking at the green monster ahead and hoping to get some moves on, like Jagger. Jamie Dodger is ahead of the halves, and halves has slipped back a little bit there on those soft tyres, with Big Dan leading like a boss, ladies and gentlemen, and it is just staying damp. It doesn't seem to be drying up too quickly, and Digi there is under threat from the Koi on the faster tyre and looking to close in on Digital Blasphemy. Digital Blasphemy last time around a 101.0, and Koikarp a 1 minute 0.8. So yes, Koikarp definitely faster at this point than the Dig, but the Dig doing a bit of off-road there, and he's gone. No, he's caught it. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Digital Blasphemy putting a couple of wheels on the wet stuff and then losing all grip whatsoever, and he caught the bugger. What a man, what a driver. And Koikarp though is up and into second place now, whilst Digi deals with a loose rear end. Paul Power moving away from the Sky, as Sky now has to deal with Pat inserting himself deeply into Sky's psyche. Skyjacker very wide, doing a Digi, and those medium tyres are no good whatsoever, but Sky just stays, and that's it. Pat's up and onto the apex, and that is Skyjacker down another position. Those medium tyres are woeful, ladies and gentlemen. We're not even 5 minutes into this race, and the tyres are playing a big part. Harvey then is next on the list with Jamie Dodger, who must have slipped behind Harvey again. Harvey doing a 101.4 and Jamie Dodger a 103.4. That's the way it is. Big Dan there is leading from the Koi. The Koi and Big Dan have got their beef, ladies and gentlemen. They've got their rivalry in the championship to think about, and at the moment Big Dan doing the best job he can possibly do with that fastest lap and ahead of Koi, but he wanted people ahead of Koi. He could have done with a couple of buffer in there with the points. Digi in third with Paul in fourth. Do you know what, I don't even remember reading Baz's name in the championship table. I know he couldn't make this one, So Coy then in second with Digi in third. Paul is in fourth place and Pat there in fifth. We've got halves in sixth. Sky slipped down to seventh now, and the championship leader is it's Coy Carp that's chasing him down, and it is only 17 points. It's not gonna be this race, but this is going to be a big boost to Coy Carp in that championship run. But remember, Sky getting those medium tyres out the way early doors, so he doesn't have to fear for the next two rounds, and Coy will have to put those medium tyres on. Coy at the moment shaking our camera at the trackside as he rocks the Radical, ladies and gentlemen, while he heads himself towards Big Dan. But Big Dan is in the swing of things. He is on top of the matter, ladies and gentlemen. He is owning Tsukuba at this very moment, with Coy Carp in second, setting chase. And is someone going to crack it under the 1 minute lap time, we wonder, as Big Dan very close with a 1 minute .0043. Paul at the moment, he looks like he's closing in on the Digi. He did a 1 minute .5 last time around, with Digi doing a 1 minute .8. It's slow, but there is still a lot of time on the clock here for these guys to creep ever closer. I'm getting worried that I'm not streaming out there. Let me see. So Paul, oh, Digi's, what's that? What did Digi? You go wide? I didn't see it. It was off screen for us. So Digi there, we've popped back 10 seconds. He is hanging that Radical out, ladies and gentlemen. He can still see the Coy ahead of him. Oh, and then the brakes and grip just played against him, and Paul then moves himself up into third. But Pat is in the scenery as well. Let us not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that Pat is around and he ain't messing. So Pat next up to try and attack the digital blasphemy. Harvey is in the area, but he's not close enough to Pat to mount an attack at the moment. Jamie Dodger in seventh. He's got himself ahead of Sky, and those medium tyres, like I said, are not working very well at the moment. There's somewhere in their Discord where it has videos. I missed it last time, put it in the chat by accident. Whilst we're not wretched in the race here, Sky goes for that position back against the halves. And a great move there done by the Sky as I'm looking down at the phone. I'm going to have to put it in general chat again. I can never frigging find anything in Discord. Not just their Discord, everyone's Discord. Looks like the school. I'm going to put it in chat, you know, because where's the RR schnizzle? Here we go, I've got an RR chat, I'll dump it into. Here we go. Paste. So Sky and Jamie Dodger, they look like they're having a bit of a battle. Hey, sorry, that's it, I'm done now. Sky then. And Jamie Dodger just behind the Sky. Harvey in sixth. He's caught with Digi. Pat's got himself past Digi. So Pat up to fourth. Paul in his debut race this season. Looks like he's going to grab a podium with Coy Carp trying to chase down Big Dan. But Big Dan has dipped and he's got it underneath the 1 minute mark, ladies and gentlemen, at 59.9 for Big Dan. So far in this race as Coy sets chase, but we are coming up we're in the 9th minute now with only 6 minutes left of racing. Can Paul close in on Coy Carp? That's the question. 1 minute .6 for Coy Carp last time around. Paul a 1 minute .4. And Paul looking like he's coming on leaps and bounds in this race as Pat stays ahead of a very squirrely Digi and Harvey is looking for a position, ladies and gentlemen. He has spotted that those medium tyres are absolutely woeful on Digital Blasphemy's car, and Harvey wants to get in and get the action done. Skyjacker still dicing with Jammy Dodger down here for final position for the wooden spoon. And Skyjacker at the moment definitely does not want that wooden spoon, does he? With his closest championship competitor up in second place. And although it is that Coy will have to use the medium tyre, whereas Skyjacker has got it out of the way in the first race. Big Dan is cruising, ladies and gentlemen. He is just cruising this. Ooh, is he cruising though? Or is he pushing like hell, ladies and gentlemen? Big Dan playing dare with the wet curbs. And Koi Carp setting chase. Paul Power trying to pull in the Koi, but he's just dropped a couple of tenths on him now. So anything that he's gained, he has lost. And the Pat coming in strong with Digi chasing him down, and the halves in the mix too. This is tantalizing racing, ladies and gentlemen. Sat in our special camera on the side of the Radical, and Pat had a little squirrel there, and Digi couldn't get on his accelerator. I think he got too much wheel spin out of that corner, had to lift off the accelerator, and now we have Harvey up and into fifth place ahead of Digi, who are on board now. Digi absolutely fighting the medium tyres on the Radical car. It has pretty much dried up on track now, and Digi here is just trying to cling on to the back of these Sports Soft tyres runners ahead of him. Big Dan still leads with Koi Carp in second. Paul Power is in third. Skyjacker and Jammy Dodger still duking it out for the wooden spoon, as we have a small battle for fourth place here. Pat, Harvey and Digital Blasphemy. Digital Blasphemy though on the sports medium tyres and struggling to stay on pace with the guys ahead. Skyjacker then ahead of the Jammy Dodger. Big Dan stretching his legs, absolutely flying. And Koi Carp there in second place ahead of the Paul of Power. Pat ahead of Halves, and Halves would love to get himself ahead of Pat. Tetra in the chat saying good day things. Well, hello Tetra. Hope you are well. Harvey, he's edging. We've got 3 minutes left of this race, and Harvey is teasing with the Pat at the moment. They are frolicking in fourth and fifth place, and I am here for it. Oh, Pat's gone very wide there. Is that given Harvey the opportunity he's been looking for to get one up the inside of the Pat, the stat? And there we go, a big wide open door, but the accelerator is just not fast enough to get us up and propelled up the side of the Pat, and Pat doing a cracking defensive job at the moment. Trying as he might, and there goes Halves again up the inside. It's door bashing, but it's beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. And Harvey then gets himself up, and now Pat's returning the favour, and they are strong-harding. They are horse-playing, ladies and gentlemen. This is nothing serious. This is good old-fashioned karting. Banging wheels is part of it, and the Pat still stays in fourth, and this all plays into the hands of the Digital Blasphemy. And Digital Blasphemy, I think, gave Harvey a little bump draft there, said, come on, son, pull your socks up. We've got to get racing. We've got to get fighting the Pat. Paul, in the meantime, 105. Bad lap for Paul that last time around. He's going to have all sorts of thoughts going around his head, and he needs to ignore those thoughts and just crack on. He knows he can do 1 minute lap times and ignore that last lap. Pat at the moment under immense pressure from the Halves, but the Halves is also under the same pressure from Digital Blasphemy. Jammy Dodger's got himself ahead of the Sky, and the Sky at the moment is the man holding the wooden spoon. Big Dan leads. Big Dan has put no feet wrong whatsoever in this race. He has absolutely sent this one from start to finish. We are coming into the last minute, so I am assuming Big Dan should be starting his last lap. And with the space he's got, I imagine he will lift to get this as the last lap. Koi Carp then crosses the line in second place, and he's had to fight for that second place, ladies and gentlemen. Paul also a great drive for his debut in the Radical Racing Series, and the Halfmeister is in fourth ahead of the Pat. No, Digi. So Harvey, let's go back then, because let's see what happened to the Pat. because Pat was leading these guys, wasn't he? 20 seconds. Oh no, Halves has already got past him somewhere. Is it only just happened? There we go. We've gone back about 40 seconds, I think. Oh, Pat, the back end just did not want to play. Oh, and then he got in Digi's way. It's no fault of his own, and that's very helpful for the half. And now Pat, with damage, has got Digi all up and about his business, but Digi has also got damage as well, so both of them carrying damage, and Digi then does go ahead of the Pat. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. They're to-ing and fro-ing, ladies and gentlemen. To-ing and fro-ing. There you go. Digi does go ahead of the Pat, but Pat is on those softer tyres with a small advantage. The half, that played out nicely for him, didn't it? Hervé. Signore Hervé. Jamie Dodger at the moment still keeping the championship leader at bay, and Skyjacker sitting in 8th place. Big Dan. Glorious. Big Dan going for the win. Bazza in the chat saying sad couldn't make it, and a good afternoon, buddy. Well, hello, the Baz. And here we go then. Big Dan brings it around, ladies and gentlemen. I introduce to you winner of race 1 of round 6 is Big Dan. Koikap coming in for 2nd place, uninterrupted, unpressured. Beautiful drive from Koikap and Paul. Welcome to the club. I think he has raced with them. Ashau 4 looks familiar, but welcome to the Radical Racing Club. Paul Power in the podium. Take a boo, my son. Harvey, a great drive for 4th, not that far behind. And Digi just about holds on to 5th ahead of the Pat. And Jamie Dodger finishes in 7 with Skyjacker coming home in the finale place. So Big Dan takes a win with Koika effect on the points. We hear from Pat. He's in my ear. Pat, what say you? What say you, good sir, about the table? Let me So then, according to Pat, Skyjacker is still leading this championship on 193 points, but Ensign Ewart now is on 184 points, only 9 points away. Get this, Koikap is also on 184 points. They are both tying for 2nd place in the championship, only 9 points away from Skyjacker. But Skyjacker, so far, update, has used his medium tyres, where Ensign and Koi neither have. Bazza sitting in 4th on 160 points, with Harvey coming in hard in 5th on 148 points. He is now a point ahead of Pat. So that battle for 5th place in the championship rears on, and Harvey has clambered himself above the Pat now. A point between them. Jamie Dodger in 7th on 140 points. Digital Blasphemy 8th on 102 points. Then we have Jokers and Mandaliski. None of them matter. None of them matter, ladies and gentlemen. They're not here. So it's getting tight at 9 points after race 1, ladies and gentlemen. Let us move ourselves over to race 2. Are you excited? You should be. To right, yeah. Race 2. That's the one we want. Looks like the sun has come out in Japan. And looks like these guys are going to be racing in some nice dry weather. Let's have a look then at the quick grid. It's a standing start, ladies and gentlemen. I believe it is a reverse grid. So Skyjacker now couldn't want it anymore, could he? Soft tyres on pole. It's worked out nicely. Jamie Dodger, he's decided to go with the soft tyre in this second race. Pat is opting for the medium tyres and starting from 3rd. I think I may have saved them medium tyres, Pat, until the final race and gone for softs on this one. You're quite high up the grid. It's an opportunity for a podium, and Harvey is coming in strong. Digi starting on softs in 4th. Harvey has opted in 6th, Koikap on softs in 7th, and Big Dan is also saving his mediums for the final race. So we're getting quite a mixed one. Usually they've all used final race is all about the softs, but Interesting. So the lights are on, ladies and gentlemen. Skyjacker, Jammy Dodger, they showed down for the whole race last time around, and they're showing down again. And I am here for it. The lights are out. That was a long hold. And the racing is commenced. Ladies and gentlemen, Skyjacker moving over to insert his dominance against the Dodger. And Pat there on his medium tyres. He's going to feel quite swamped come this first corner. And there we go. Almost the whole field. And he's off the road. That was a struggle. That was a struggle to watch, Pat. Wasn't pretty. And Paul also on those medium tyres. The medium tyre is a real hindrance here. And Paul going for a move on Pat. Pat really struggling with grip at this point. Skyjacker leads. Digi is up and into second place. And Jammy Dodger slipping down into third. Koikarp now up into fourth with his soft tyres. And he is going to make his mark on the Dodger. He's going to take a bite out of that. Whoa, Big Dan came from nowhere, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sure he's going to let Koikarp back through because Koikarp was the brake then. He was the brake for Big Dan, I'm sure of it. Big Dan must have missed his braking spot. And now he's up alongside the halves as Koikarp now has dropped back from the Dodger after the move with Big Dan. Big Dan now is up and ahead of the Harvey. And Harvey has got Paul behind him, but Paul's on the medium tyre. Oh, so is the Harvey. So Big Dan softs, Koikarp softs. It's all about the softs from fifth up, ladies and gentlemen. And Skyjacker and Digital Blasphemy. This is a big one. These two are very, very fast drivers. And Digital Blasphemy is going to be hounding the Sky all the way to the flag. Jammy Dodger trying to be the cork in the bottle and keep Coy and Big Dan at bay. Big Dan and Coy, don't forget, they are tying. And there, Digi having a sniff, having a whiff around the outside of Skyjacker. Now Skyjacker, he's got a championship to think about, and Digi is not part of that championship. So he may do sensible things and think this isn't worth the risk. They're only 9 points behind me. They're currently fourth and fifth. And, he run out of grip. But, yeah, I don't think racing Digi is the way to go for Skyjacker. I'm always up for a race, though. And so is Skyjacker, it seems, up the inside of Digi. And to hell with the championship, he says. Points are for losers. I just want wins. And Digi down into second then, with Jammy Dodger in third. Big Dan is ahead of the Coy. Oh my MG, this is big news. Ring up the Daily Mail, ladies and gentlemen. Ring up the news of the world, because Big Dan is ahead of Coy. They are drawing on points in second in the championship, and now Big Dan set to go in ahead of the Coy of Karts. Skyjacker fighting hard, risking everything, ladies and gentlemen, and saying to hell with it. I want the win. And Skyjacker with that mentality, that's why he's a championship leader, ladies and gentlemen. And Digital Blasphemy is hounding him all of the way. These two have broken away from the pack, with Big Dan and Jammy Dodger fighting it out. And Koikarp keeping up with the Joneses. Now we're on Digi as he closes in on the leader here of race 2, round 6 of the Virtual Racers Club's Radical Racing. Onto the brakes we go, trying to get that little gap underneath Skyjacker, but there is no gap really. It's in our heads. Now he's going to go for a gap here, but there is no gap again. Skyjacker is the doorman, and he is closing all of the doors. And Digital Blasphemy, big gap, big gap, big gap, no gap. Oh, still a gap. Just can't get that power on though, Digi. And he's just looking at gaps. Skyjacker's teasing him with. Big Dan closing in on that action. Remember, Big Dan was the fastest man in the first race. He got it under the 1 minute. I don't think anyone else did. So Big Dan, he's a threat to this battle up ahead. And they are going at it tooth and nail, ladies and gentlemen. And 1 minute 0.6 for Skyjacker, 1 minute 0.7 for Digi. Big Dan at 59.7. Bash, mic drop, hello. Jammy Dodger in fourth, still staying ahead of the Coy. The Coy struggling with pace here. It's like he's wearing a pair of mediums, but on my screen he's saying soft. So sometimes there is glitches where he says the wrong tyre, and he might be on the mediums, but he is struggling to keep up with the Dodger at the moment. The halves on his mediums. He's got Paul all up and in his business, and Paul, after a podium from that first race, would love to get another sixth, get sixth at least from the halves. And he's going for it, ladies and gentlemen. He's having a look up the inside to see what's doing. And Harvey, though, yeah, no, that's it. Paul Power, he's made the move. And Harvey is going to have to suck it as Paul Power now up and into sixth place. And that is about as far as it's going to go for him on those medium tyres. And Harvey is making a race of it, ladies and gentlemen. He's not letting our man Paul get away with it all his own way. Superb driving from the pair of them, clean. And it looks like Paul may have gone wide there in the first corner. And Harv reigns supreme. Not quite, ladies and gentlemen. Paul pulled that one back beautifully. How's that battle up there? Sky and Digi. Digi's dropped back a little bit from the Sky at this point, and Big Dan is closing in. He's smashing 59s out every time. Big Dan, is he going to do? Is he? I said at the beginning of this, no one's won all three races so far, but don't forget Big Dan's got to use his medium tyres as well, so that's why no one's won all three races, because the medium tyres really does stop that from happening. Sky at the moment under threat from the Digital Blasphemy, and both of these would like to go out of this season with a win, knowing that they've got to use the medium tyres next time around, so a win will be off the cards for the pair of these, and this could be their last opportunity of this season to take a win. Unbelievable stuff. Digital Blasphemy having a sniff around the outside there, and Skyjacker is defending like a legend. And Big Dan closing in, ever closing in every lap as these two squabble over that win. And Big Dan, it's I'm sure there's been a fairy tale about it, of two that are squabbling, and the one that didn't squabble got the win. If not, we'll write this one down as one of those old fairy tales, those little stories for kids to teach them. You've got to work together. Sky and Digi at the moment battling it out, though. I'm here for the battling it out. I love it. I want Big Dan to win. I want Big Dan to punish these two for fighting so fiercely and taking their eye off of what was coming from behind. And Big Dan then in third place. Is that spiteful? No, I don't think so. It's just called racing. Jamie Dodger in fourth, and he's being caught by the Koi. And Koi Cup at the moment seeing a lot of points going towards Big Dan. Big Dan second in the championship. Digital Blasphemy looking for a move. There's 9 points adrift of Big Dan and Skyjacker, so Skyjacker should still maintain as Digi there. He's defending. Now he's got to deal with Big Dan and Big Dan's big pace. He's slapping it down on the table, ladies and gentlemen, and Digital Blasphemy is amazed of what he's got on offer. My good golly, he's smashing those 59s, and no one else can still get in those 59s. Big Dan is doing something special here at Tsukuba, and we are all astonished and astounded by it all. Skyjacker leads then, and we are on the 8th minute as Digital Blasphemy in second, and Big Dan is in third place, looking for more. Koi Carp is now ahead of the Jamie Dodger, and Koi Carp gets the move done that last lap around. And Jamie Dodger now in fifth place with Paul Power moving away from the halves, and Pat is just clinging on, and this is not good for Pat with the half, but he's only just ahead of him. I think it's the half that Pat is battling, so Harvey, he only just moved ahead of the Pat. He's going to get a couple more points on Pat in this race. Here we go. This is an absolute battlage here with Sky and Digi. Digi giving Sky a little bump in the braking zone, saying, I didn't want to brake that early. And one wonders if Sky is trying to back Digi into Big Dan. That would help Sky off. It would ease off the pressure, wouldn't it? I'm not saying that's what he's making a little bit earlier. Making Digi slow down a little bit is going to put Digi right in the path of a very, very Taylor Swift of Big Dan. So Digi then, no, Digi comes back. He's saying, no, Sky, you will not slow me down into Big Dan. I am here for the win, not for scraps off the table. I want the whole course. So Skyjacker under immense pressure from Digital Blasphemy as we are in the 9th minute now, and they are pushing hard, and Big Dan is just getting all of the views. He's getting all of the best seat in the house. And there is Digi having a look around the outside of the Green Monster, and the Green Monster will not yield, ladies and gentlemen. Big Dan getting a lovely tow from the pair of them, and this is where Digi then has to defend. No, he's decided to go on the attack up the inside, and Digital Blasphemy pulls off the move. Skyjacker's rear derriere seems like he wants to step out, and he's coming back at Digital Blasphemy. Digital Blasphemy holds onto the line. It's back into the braking zone. We are sat on board with third place Big Dan, who gets all of this. All of this, and Big Dan's going for a move up the inside of the Skyjacker. Unbelievable stuff with Digital Blasphemy now leading ahead of Skyjacker, and Big Dan close in on the action. Koi Carp there. If there's more squabbling, Koi Carp's going to join the party. We are into the 10th minute now, and Digi and Sky are side by side coming out of the corner, but Digital Blasphemy is just a little bit ahead of Skyjacker. Skyjacker is giving it his all, ladies and gentlemen, wants to go out on a bang. Big Dan is right there sniffing around, and he wants that second place in the championship confirmed. Digital Blasphemy then leads the way ahead of Skyjacker and Big Dan in third spot. Koi Carp in fourth, keeping Jammy Dodger at bay, and he seems to be doing a good job of it so far. Paul Power in sixth place on the medium tyres ahead of the halves, who is closing in now on Paul Power, and the Pat is in eighth place, keeping an eye on events ahead of him. Wowzers, we are having a absolute battle here for the lead of this race. Skyjacker was leading for the longest time. Digital Blasphemy was nibbling at him to try and get by, and Digital Blasphemy finally got by last lap around, and Skyjacker now has to think about the Big Dan that he's got behind him, and Big Dan looming large. Ensign Hewitt in the chat saying, hey Thingy, a great last round, enjoyed this series, made a change from Group 3 and Group 4 cars, thank you for the wonderful coverage. Mentioning Group 3 and Group 4 cars, the replacement for this series, I've seen the advert, is Group 3 Group 4 cars, ladies and gentlemen. And Digital Blasphemy leads from Skyjacker with Big Dan there. It's the GTMC Gran Turismo Manufacturers Championship, I think. Season probably 9 or 10. It's been going a while, that one. So if you fancy a little bit of that action, 15 minutes in a Group 4 car, then 40 minutes in a Group 3 car at the same track, ladies and gentlemen, get yourself over to the Virtual Racers Club Discord and get yourself signed up for that, as Big Dan having a whiff at the Sky, and Sky is not letting any more past. He's already had to concede that Digital Blasphemy is going by, and Skyjacker is now trying to stick to second place. Big Dan wants more. He needs more points ahead of Koi, because these two are going to be on the medium tyres and not scoring big points in the final race. And Koi Carp does look like he's closing in on the pack, and one small mistake in the final 2 or 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and it could all go Koi Carp's way still. Jammy Dodger in 5th place. The half is there, and now Paul's struggling with Pat. Paul did a 106.1, and oh my word, Pat is all up and about his business. Pat's going for the move. Pat up the inside. Pat is side by side as they're going out of the corner. Paul doing all he can to keep Pat at bay, and it's a fight of the ages, ladies and gentlemen, and Pat has gone ahead. Pat has gone ahead, but Paul is not sitting down. Well, he's sitting down playing, but he's not taking it sitting down. Metaphorically, he's not sitting down. Pat, though, an awesome drive for Pat, never gave up, stuck in there at the back, waiting for something to come his way. And come his way it did, ladies and gentlemen. And Paul there is looking at the back of the Pat, holding on to that wooden spoon. Digital Blasphemy leads with Skyjacker under immense pressure from the Dan. Big Dan, we call him Dr. Dan here at Tsukuba, because he is in surgery, ladies and gentlemen. Koi Carp in 4th place. Koi Carp are 1 minute 0.7 last time around. Big Dan 1:01.3. This is him being held up, I'm sure, by the Skyjacker, and Skyjacker then is becoming a thorn in Big Dan's side, and Koi Carp closing in to make second place even more interesting in the championship. Digital Blasphemy then, last minute, last lap is what we say around here, and Digital Blasphemy crosses the line after 14 minutes, so this is the final lap for Digital Blasphemy. Skyjacker only has one more lap to try and stay ahead of the Dan. Both of the tyres, both of the Sport Stuff tyres are absolutely shot on these cars, so anything can happen, any mistake, any slight little skiddage. Oh my word, like Big Dan did out of that corner, sliding around up and in Skyjacker's boot, virtually. He's hanging on the spoiler. He's testing that spoiler like Max did with the Mercedes a couple of seasons ago. So Skyjacker trying to keep Big Dan at bay. Digital Blasphemy comes around the final corner. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for Digital Blasphemy on the winning front. He'll be on the medium tyres next time around and at the back of the grid. And Digital Blasphemy slaps it on the table and says, there you go. Skyjacker in seconds, Big Dan in third. That was tight. Koikap in fourth. Jammy Dodger comes home in fifth place. Great drive from the Dodge. Oh, be careful. In fifth, Harvey ahead, and Pat and Paul still duking it out as the halves comes around the final corner, and it's Pat just ahead of the Paul. Harvey crosses the line in sixth place. Ladies and gentlemen, what a drive from the halves. Pat maintains that seventh place ahead of Paul, but Paul gave it his all at the end there, and it's seventh and eighth for Pat and Paul Power. Paul Power with the wooden spoon. Digital Blasphemy is the man that takes the win. So we'll head on over to Pat's stats to have a look at the updated table so far. I think it's just going to say that Big Dan's a point now proper in second and a point ahead. Skyjacker still leads on 208 points. He's still 9 points ahead of Ensign Newer on 199 points. Who now is in second. Koi Carp's on 197 points, and Scary Rambo Harvey is 159 points, set to take over fourth place in this championship as Bazza, not here to defend, on 160 points. So the halves and the pack could demote Bazza all the way down to sixth place, maybe even Jammy Dodger. Digital Blasphemy's on 118 now. So yeah, the battle, Harvey's on 159, Pat's on 157, Jammy Dodger's on 152. And Ensign Newitt now 2 points ahead of Koi Cup in the championship. It all comes down to this one, ladies and gentlemen. Mum Spaghetti and all of that. I'm concentrating this time. Look, see, smooth when I don't try and put intermission music in there. But it's boring, isn't it? You want some sort of la 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 la. Don't look at the spoilers. Why would you do that to yourselves? Here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, ready for our third and our final race of this season. It has been an absolute banger, corker, one would say. Now then. Paul didn't need to use the mediums. Didn't he use mediums last time around? So Paul has gone for another set of mediums. That could be a mistake, and that has really... Paul was in line there for... Oh, wow, hang on. He might have gone mediums because it looks like it's absolutely chucking it down, ladies and gentlemen. In my time-frozen screen, I can see driplets. So Paul is starting on the mediums with Pat on the softs. The mediums really didn't work in the rain. I thought Paul was on mediums in that final race. Well, he's opted for another set of medium tyres with Pat. Jammy Dodger is starting on the softs. Koi Carp has put a set of mediums on, as has Big Dan. Oh no, Skyjacker used mediums in the first race. Yes, he did. So did Digi. So Digi and Skyjacker, I said in that last race they'd not used them, but they have. They both used them in the first race. So Sky, Digi on the softs. Big Dan and Koi have got the mediums to use in this race. Jammy Dodger's on the softs. Harvey's on the softs. Pat's on the softs. And I don't think Paul needed to use the mediums, but has done. So oddness indeed. That is your grid. It looks like it's drizzly. Looks like it's just intermediate weather, but I think the sports work no matter what because they've got grid. They've got grip on them. They're not slick. Paul then on those medium tyres going into the unknown in the first corner and not knowing what grip will be there. There's Pat on the soft tyres though. gets in and around Paul, then drops down into second place, but the half is looming large, and they've got to be careful in this weather with the braking zone, because medium tyres, there's going to be some people braking at different points. Koikap trying to crawl around, and he's already got Skyjacker all up and in his business, who's got ahead himself of the Dodger. Big Dan, Big Dan's gone ahead of the Dodger as well now, and Digi will be looking for that. But don't forget, Big Dan on those medium tyres, Jammy Dodger on the soft, so he'll be coming back out at Big Dan come the corners, and Digi is just holding off and seeing what is what. The rain seems to be getting harder here for the final race of the season. Pat leads ahead of the halves, and the halves now ahead of Paul. Paul on those medium tyres dropping like a brick as Skyjacker then moves ahead of the Paul, and Koikap is also on the medium tyres, but he's going for the move on Paul. Paul's gone wide with Sky. No, Digi, I think. I don't know who was out there. It was a black car, wasn't it? Jammy, it may have Paul. It may have been Digi. Yeah, I think Digi and Paul both went wide in that corner. And Jammy Dodger then is in 6th place, with Big Dan in 5th, Koikap in 4th, and Skyjacker is in 3rd. Harvey is in 2nd, and Pat leads the race. Let's have a look where the close bastardage is. So on board with Jammy Dodger, go up against Big Dan. Big Dan on the medium tyres, remember. We got Paul and Digi not far behind. And Jammy then looking around to see, and Big Dan is on the Koi. Them two are on the medium tyres. Here comes Big Dan on Koikap. He goes up the inside, but Koikap maintains, and Koikap ahead. Big Dan goes for another move up the inside, and Koikap having to fend him off, ladies and gentlemen. And Koikap then stays ahead. Beautiful stuff from Big Dan there. Big Dan having a look up the inside as Pat still leads, and that is a Big Dan. No, he's still not quite made it fit sit, and that's Big Dan then up and into 4th place, and Pat, Big Dan with a slide though, and now Koikap goes up and around the outside. Big Dan later on the brakes than Koikap, and someone else is coming into play. Digi wants a piece of this action as well. Digi is on the soft tyres, remember, and Digi then trying to take a piece of the Koi, and I'm sure Jammy Dodger not that far behind him, and that's Koikap then dropping down and into 6th place as Digi moves up, and Big Dan then in 4th place. Harvey in the action with the leaders here, and Harvey then on board with as Skyjacker tries to fight the Pat. Yeah, it's no good, is it? I think we'll stay on board. So that Skyjacker then is through to Pat then. Oh, Pat losing the rear derriere quite a lot, and Harvey should be able to pick up the position. We'll do it from here. It's all right. So Harvey then is trying to scoop him up, but Pat at the moment doing a super job. He's lost the lead to Skyjacker. Big Dan on those medium tyres, too far behind to do anything from here. Digi as well. He's slipped back. He's on those soft tyres. He's getting purples. He's ahead of the Koi, and Paul Power on those mediums as well, ahead of Jammy Dodger. Jammy Dodger could be a danger here with his soft tyres. Skyjacker leads with Pat in 2nd, and he's being harassed and harangued by Harvey. Yeah. So Digi has caught up with Big Dan. Let's find a suitable. There we are. So Digi then going for a move up around the outside. Nothing doing there. You can see that they've got spotlights. Look, they've got lights there. Do absolutely sod all. It's weird. So Digi then going for a move on Big Dan. up the inside, easily done. And Big Dan then, he's just got to deal with that one. Ooh, out wide. And Koi Carp is a little too far back to get some action done there. And now Digi already up and about with the halves. The halves under threat. Digi is absolutely flying here at the moment. We're over 1/3 into this race. And Digital Blasphemy, he wants to hunt down himself a Skyjacker who has run away with it in the front, ladies and gentlemen. He's miles ahead. And it's down to Pat and Harvey fending off this podium from Digi. Harvey then in second with Pat in third. And Skyjacker, he's gone, ladies and gentlemen. He's dipped. He's a whole corner ahead of the field with Pat in second. The halves is in third and Digital Blasphemy is fourth. Oh, Digi's very wide there and he's got a bit of gap from Big Dan, but Big Dan, he's too far back and he's on those medium tyres. Koi Carp in sixth with Jammy Dodger in seventh and Paul there in eighth place. And Skyjacker leads ahead of the Pat. And Harvey there is in third place. But Digital Blasphemy is the man who is trying to close in. But Big Dan gets a little closer to Digital Blasphemy with a 103. And Digital Blasphemy obviously had that off, which gives Harvey and Pat a little bit more of a leanway. And Harvey then in third. Digital Blasphemy is fourth. Big Dan is in sixth. Koi Carp sixth, with Jammy Dodger in seventh and Paul Power in eighth. It doesn't look like there's much else happening, so I could read you Pat's final table if you want. We're halfway through. I don't think Outer's going to change. Can't really see much anyway, to tell you the truth. We could pick a car to sit on board. Who's got close patronage? Anyone? Jammy Dodger closing in on the Koi there. And Jammy's on the soft tyre. Koi's got a slide on there as Jammy Dodger try and close up. Sky leads with Pat in second, Harvey in third. Digital Blasphemy is a threat to the halves, but he had a small off and it's going to take him a while to close back in. Ooh, and Jammy Dodger going for a move on Koi Carp there. And the track's getting a little bit drier. Oh, looks like Digi sent it hard. We can look, but you don't see anything, do you? So here we go. Digi, he just went wide again in that corner, and then as he come back onto the track, the wet tyres just absolutely sent him around. Oh, and he nearly clipped Jammy Dodger on his way past. And there we see Digi trying to recover best he can and get underway. And I imagine Skyjacker will be, I thought he was going to come up behind him pretty soon, but Skyjacker then leads the way. We are at 9 minutes. It's looking close between Pat and Harvey, as you can see. And Harvey looking for a way past. On board with the halves. And obviously here at Thingamajig's Racing Channel, there's nothing we can do about the leagues and the choices they make. So it's sometimes it's very, sometimes you just got to deal with what you've got. And this is the replay that I have. I mean, visually it's not very it's not one to watch, is it, really? The radicals are just kind of ending in the dark, which is a shame. It's been a great series. It's been a fantastic series. The final race like in the first round, it's pants. It's pointless. Jamie Dodger going out very wide. Paul there on the push. He's ahead of Digi now. He's got a great set of headlights on that car. And Paul then goes up ahead of Dodger. Dodger, we saw having a moment, and it's given Paul enough to get up and ahead of 6. Great drive from Paul there. Come the end of the race now, it's dried off a little bit. Looks like the medium tyres starting to work for him. Koi Carp, he's been doing pleasant 102s all the way. And Big Dan with a 101.8. Harvey is in third. Pat is in second place. Harvey then all up and in Pat's business, and he's fancying this. We're at 11 minutes. Hopefully you can still hear me. The mic's gone a bit strange. So we'll get on board with the halves. That's probably for the best. Oh, there's some movement though further back. Jamie Dodger and Paul and Digi, they all seem to be going by him on the arrows. Oh, Jamie and Digi having a moment, is it? So on Digi's car, we can see Jamie Dodger ahead, and he's gone by, and Jamie Dodger, it just looked like he had a spin there as Digi went by. Pat looking good for second place here. Harvey wants to ruin it for him, and we've got 3 minutes left of racing here on the cards, ladies and gentlemen. Big Dan in 4th, Koi Carp in 4th, Paul is in 6th, Digi in 7th, Jamie Dodger is in 8th place. Harvey getting any closer to the Pat at the moment? We'll have a quick look around. So there's Skyjacker is leading the race. He's got quite a good lead there. It's looking like it's a slam dunk for the Sky at the moment. Pat under pressure from Harvey all the race. Harvey looks like he's going for the move, and Harvey makes the move, ladies and gentlemen. Harvey up and into second place. Pat is down into third. What can Pat do about this in the last minute and a half of this race? Big Dan is in 4th ahead of Koi, so it looks like Big Dan's going to secure that second place in the championship. Digi is up to 6th. He's got himself ahead of Paul Power, but he is on those soft tyres, and Jamie Dodger is down in 6th. Skyjacker leads, and it's Pat. Pat's back ahead of the half. Oh, he got back ahead of the halves. I'd rewind it, but you'll see some headlights go past another headlight. It really isn't worth the effort. And we are really trying to just get to the end. I'm making a coffee while this is happening. Hang on. So we go again, Pat and Harvey. With Big Dan in 4th, Koi Carp in 6th. And again, all I can do is apologise, ladies and gents. I get sent the replays. I I should maybe watch them beforehand, and if I think they're not deemed suitable for streaming, I can always just say no. And in future, maybe I'll have to start doing that. So Sky then, he's coming around. He's got 10 seconds to go. I don't even know if I'm going to bother reading the table to say the truth. Do you care? I'll bother. I'll bother because I'm a professional. Let's talk about race 2 though. Was that not a banger? Race 2 and race 1 of this round was absolutely amazing. Jamie Dodger's finished. Sky's coming up to the final corner. Harvey's got himself back ahead of Pat, but I mean, it's too dark to see anyway, and Big Dan's caught him up. But it's really isn't. What are we looking at? Headlights? Headlights? I don't know which one's which. It's pointless. Skyjack's across the line with the win. Well done. Harvey then is ahead of Pat, and Big Dan's going in there for a move. I don't know which one he is. There's Harvey. I mean, the headlights are on the back of him. We can see him. Thank you very much to the VRC for this. I've enjoyed every second of it. Big Dan in 4th. Koi Cup in 5th. Digi's in 6th. Paul will be finishing in 7th. Right then, the final table then, ladies and gentlemen. And when we'll dip. It's disappointing, I've got to say. Okay then. Like I said, they're starting another championship, GMTC or something, if you want to find them on Facebook and Discord to try and get yourself entered into it. Skyjacker finished on 228, Ensign Hewitt on 212, Koi Carp on 209, Scary Rambo on 174, Pat on 171, Jamie Dodger finished on 161, Bazza finished 160, Digital Blasphemy finished 8th on 129, Jokers finished 9th on 172, Madmansky finished 10th on 62, Thingamajig 11th on 34, Pen Bad Leg on 33, that must be Paul Power, and someone else didn't score any points. Okay then, ladies and gentlemen, it's been great working back with the VRC. It's the night racers at the Virtual Racers Club. They love it in the dark, it seems. It's just not streamable. Okay then, thank you very much. Tiru. Hang on, Skyjacker's saying something. Couldn't see a thing for the last race. It dodged to blast me. Yeah, nor could I, mate. It was pointless. Tiru, peace and love, peace and love.